Take us through that catch.
No, I don't care. I'm not going to talk about it. You guys know my main goal. We didn't accomplish it tonight, so put it behind us. Whatever happened in this game, whoever made good plays, whoever made good hits, screw it. We got to get tomorrow at the same time.
He's incredible. Every plate appearance is a tough at bat. I feel like I want him up with all of our runners in scoring position, and then any ball hit in center field, it's like, I thought in the first inning I gave up a homer, Jackson was there to catch it. I gave up a very hard line drive, Jackson was there to catch it. It's just, he's the heart and soul of this team, and it's really fun to play with.
He's the heart and soul of this team. High praise, if you all will, for Jackson Merrill. Hi, everybody. I guess it's a happy Tuesday. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what time you're watching this or if you're joining me live here on Marty Time TV. My name is Marty Cassavell. We are brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. I hope you're all having a wonderful day, because based on my timeline yesterday, especially on Twitter, Blue Sky a bit more forgiving, and on Threads, man, Padres fans are shocked and they're angry. They want Mike Shildt fired for not removing Robert Suarez sooner after the back-to-back walks, resulting in the ensuing grand slam, the game-shocking grand slam. And they also want Robert Suarez removed as closer. Guys, it's just one game. It's a blip in the radar. It was a rare struggle for Robert Suarez, who was the National League reliever of the month for March/April. He had been perfect previously, 0 allowed runs, and he had converted 15 out of 15 save opportunities. So yesterday was a bit shocking, because when you have a game like that from Jackson Merrill, right? 2 game-saving catches, 3 runs, 3 hits, another RBI, you expect to win those games. So when they don't win, man, it's magnified. High praise indeed from Michael King yesterday about Jackson Merrill being the heart and soul of the Padres. We're going to play a little bit more from Michael King as well as Jackson Merrill before we get to AJ Cassavell on today's show. It is Dylan Cease on the mound for the Padres, looking to rebound from their shocking 2-game slide. But here is what manager Mike Shildt had to say yesterday about his closer and his decision to leave him in the game when it was apparent early on that he was struggling.
Put a lot in bold caps. We've seen a lot of greatness from Robert Suarez, to the point of borderline to actually being spoiled. Some days you got to prove you're human. This guy's been absolutely lights out for us the last year, obviously this year, and they were patient and able to work some counts, and then they got through him. So one of those days he'll be back, and we were confident he'll be just fine.
The walks in the command are something that has been really, really good with this season. Is there maybe something mechanical in his release or something that you?
No, I wouldn't. I can't say no. Look, this guy's been really good. He's consistent. He's got a pretty easy delivery, repeatable delivery. I wouldn't. I'm not going to pin it on. He may have a different opinion of it, but I wouldn't pin it on anything mechanical. It's just one of those nights.
But to that point, it looked like Jackson Merrill maybe saved the day. You talk about Jackson's night, plate.
Wow.
And then
you talk about dominating on both sides of the ball, right? I write down the plus plays, and had Jackson's then for some reason first, third, seventh. It's just kept drawing a line for the next one. So, and I love the instincts on Sean Wells' ball, because we got Morihone in there. He's got 2 strikes. He cheats in a little bit, and knows look, if this guy squares something up in the gap, then we'll tip our hat. But it was a really, really high IQ. It was as much a mental play, a really smart play as it was clearly a physical play. But his intelligence prior to the play set him up for us to preserve the lead right there. So, and of course he swung the bat pretty well also.
If we go back to the ninth, can you just take us through the decision to lift Robert when you did, with the bases loaded?
Yeah, it's a heavy workload. Once the game's tied, he was going to get him. He was going to get the next guy, because he had the pitches to do it. But at that point, he's not a big double play guy. He's been laboring a lot of pitches. His chance to do something different with Jacob, and he gets the punch out and he's got 2 strikes. He just got a ball up to a dangerous hitter, so guy with power. But almost came in and did his part. But yeah, it was just a time when the game we won out and number of pitches. It was, he'd done his part.
So that was manager Mike Schilt in yesterday's game, talking about Robert Suarez's rare struggle. And guys, remember, he has been an automatic out for the Padres. He's been sensational. So I would imagine not too worried about Robert Suarez. We'll get to more of this conversation with AJ Cassavell coming up shortly. Before we get there, I do want to go ahead and give you a little bit of Jackson Merrill. Jackson Merrill is such a unique player. He does not want to talk about himself when he does great things. And he has been great, right? 6 straight games dating back to before his IL stint, 5 straight coming off the IL, but 6 straight games with 2 hits or more. Yesterday he had 3. He made just these 2 insane catches yesterday. You keep thinking those are games you're going to win, which makes the struggle a little bit more shocking. But here is Jackson Merrill post-game wanting no part of the line of questioning from Padres beat reporter Kevin Acee about his sensational catch in center field.
Take us through that catch.
No, I don't care. I'm not going to talk about it. You guys know my main goal. We didn't accomplish it tonight, so put it behind us. Whatever happened in this game, whoever made good plays, whoever good hits, screw it. We got to get in tomorrow at the same time.
So then to go from that, because clearly you did a lot to help this team win, to go from that to the ending, what does that?
I mean, that's the point of playing baseball, though, is to help your team win as much as possible. You don't just stop because you lose a game or you end up not winning in the end. You keep working hard. You keep busting your ass all over the field. I'm going to do the same thing tomorrow. Do the same thing behind the pitcher tomorrow and hope for a better outcome.
Robert's obviously been incredible all season long. Does that like tonight kind of feel very out of the ordinary given how good he's been?
Robbie's the man, dude. I don't think anybody expects that from him. I don't think he even expects that from himself. It's just like baseball. That stuff happens. You see the greatest closer of all time blow the game sometimes, but Robbie's our guy. He's our closer. He's our man. He's our rock. We're gonna fall on him 10 times out of 10. So, we're going to trust him even tomorrow when he goes in the game. We need him again. He's going to go in there. He's going to shove. So,
Thanks.
Cool.
So you heard the voice there of AJ Cassavell asking him about Rob Suarez. And speaking of the devil, here is Padres beat reporter AJ Cassavell. All right, it's a pleasure to welcome AJ Cassavell to the show. I actually need to go ahead and take the steps of apologizing to AJ Cassavell today because yesterday I spilled a cup of coffee on my laptop in the press box, and I let out a stream of curse words that I have not used since I was in a radio studio last year. So AJ Cassavell, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry for my outburst. I'm so sorry that I was a complete disaster. Not only spilling coffee all over the press box, but then later on, I had food everywhere too. So I'm a disaster. I apologize.
Marty, do you have noise canceling headphones? Have you ever worn them? Have you ever worn noise canceling? Because I had noise canceling headphones in yesterday when this was going on. I had these headphones in, and I couldn't hear a thing until you were done with the I could tell you were upset, but I couldn't hear anything until you were done with shouting the obscenities. So,
well,
I heard none of it.
Then I am glad to hear
But
that. That's
coffee.
wonderful. Okay, good. I need noise canceling headphones. And by the way, good on you for having them because you sit to me. I'm not sure if you realize this, but you and I have these deep conversations in the press box. It's mostly me talking and you nodding. So I guess those noise canceling headphones are working just.
Yeah, I'm not hearing anything you're saying ever. No.
Okay. All right, we're talking to AJ Cassavell. Clearly, the Padres beat reporter were brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. AJ, I know you had this great idea of great stories that you wrote that you never published, and I'm guessing that last night was one of them because last night, for all of us, was going to be the Jackson Merrill game. I mean, he just remarkable, great defense, 3 more hits. I think he has multi-hits in 5 straight games since coming off the IL, 6 dating back to before that. But how do you sum up what happened in yesterday's game, if you can? We'll start there.
Yeah, I got a rare compliment from one of my editors saying that this was a really good running first story. It'll probably never see the light of day because whenever you write something good for the final out and in a close game, it always gets blown up. I guess I see the way the game ended as as long as Robert Suarez, as long as it was a one-off and a blip, and like we've seen this. How many times from Robert Suarez in 4 seasons? Like a couple. He had those 2 bad outings, or maybe it was a little longer stretch last September. But I think those struggles were a little different than this. This was just like his first, if you remember his first outing as a Padre, the start of that 2022 season in Arizona where he just couldn't find it at all. And then they had to go to Craig Stammen. And then I think it was Stammen. And I think he gave up the home run, the go-ahead homer. Like, that to me was the last time I've seen Robert Suarez like just struggle that badly with his command. There have been times where his fastball doesn't have that lift, and guys have been it's been more hittable than what it is. But after that one, I think you remember he figured it out pretty quickly, and then he became integral piece of that bullpen. Ultimately pitching like big innings throughout the season down the stretch. Like it's just if that's all it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you write it off, but no one likes losing those games. It's a game the Padres deserved to win. They played well enough to win. Jackson Merrill was awesome. Manny Machado was awesome. Tatis hit the home run. Like it had all the hallmarks of a regular Padres win. And the way baseball works, sometimes you lose them.
So just a hiccup for Robert Suarez, who, by the way, had converted, who was perfect this year, right? I think he was a perfect 15 for 15. He was the March/April National League reliever of the month. He's been phenomenal. So I don't think listen, those bad games happen. Bad outings happen. It just doesn't happen when you usually have a play, when you have Jackson Merrill do. Those are games that those are usually like signature win games. Those are games you're supposed to win. Yeah,
you feel like you should have won that one just because it was the way it went. It felt like a real fun Padres victory. But this is what happens for teams with bad bullpens and teams with good bullpens. Like it doesn't happen very often. So when it does happen, it feels kind of stunning. So I don't know. I think it's like, whatever it was I mean, Robert Suarez had walked 4 guys all season and he walked 4 in a row last night. Whatever it was that he was out of sync, if he gets back in sync, then it's not there's just still a lot of positive, encouraging things to take away from last night's game.
I know you asked Mike Schilt this question in postgame, but are you surprised at all that, I mean, it seemed clear that he just one of those nights, he didn't have it, that he did not remove him earlier.
I wasn't surprised. I asked that question because I just kind of wanted Mike's take on it because it's like obviously his take matters more than mine. But I think I would have done the same thing just given how good Robert Suarez has been. Like obviously hindsight's 20/20. He ended up walking that guy. But I think that was the at bat where they had a foul tip and Diaz just barely couldn't corral it. Like there you go. There's the second out. If Diaz gets it, granted it's only the second out, but like that's how close. That's what the margins were. Tatis drops that foul ball down the right field line and setting up the first walk. Like as bad as Suarez was with his control last night, like there's every possibility that he wins that game. And plus you've used all your high leverage guys getting up to Suarez because all season long that formula's worked. And so I think it's just I was fine pretty much with the way he did it. I think the way and then removing him once it's a tie game and he's throwing all those pitches also makes a lot of sense. I honestly see no issues with it. You trust the guy that's been the best closer in the National League for the first month and a half of the season, and then sometimes that happens.
Okay. While we're on the subject of the bullpen, I do want to go ahead and stay there and get to Wandy Peralta. What do you make of his struggles? What's going to be his role going forward? And I mean, how much wiggle room does he have in this bullpen?
Yeah, I think his struggles pretty clearly make him like a lower leverage lefty. Like Yuki Matsui's been really good. That like splitter forkball he throws is awesome. He's kind of taken that step I think the Padres had hoped he would take. And that sets him up to be that next lefty behind Morejon, which makes Peralta just like a low leverage middle innings guy until he can get to what the Padres think he can be at times, which he's shown for very brief stints, but he's also had some pretty rough outings too. How much wiggle room does he have? I think he has plenty, given like A, the contract that he's on, B, the history that he has, and C, the fact that like he won't be pitching the highest leverage of innings. It probably would be a little more helpful if he could throw multiple innings. That's kind of what you want from those guys in that role. But I mean, like I wouldn't expect, given how well Yuki Matsui has pitched and given what they've gotten from the back end 4 of Suarez, Adam, Estrada, Morejon. Like, there's no need for Wandy Peralta to be pitching in close games right now, given his struggles. But I also think that, like, he'll get that chance to work his way back into that role if he can.
We're talking to AJ Cassavell. I think he might be at the zoo right now. AJ, I know you have your noise canceling headphones.
Sorry about that.
I guarantee. No. It's great. I guarantee you that our viewers will be commenting about the birds chirping. There was a bird chirping or singing
that's
loudly
ambiance.
In the background.
The dog barking is not.
Is that your dog?
It's not my dog. No, my dog rarely barks.
No, it's okay. I'm
my dog's sitting inside. My dog's sitting inside, rolling his eyes at this other dog for barking.
Okay, you mean because your dog is well behaved. Okay, Jackson Merrill has been. Sometimes. I mean, I don't know what else to even ask about Jackson Merrill at this point. He has been nothing short of sensational. Yesterday in postgame, and I'm going to play this for our viewers shortly. Michael King said that there is no one that he'd rather have at bat with runners in scoring position than Jackson Merrill, that he is the heart and soul of this Padres team. Can you just speak to how remarkable he's been, since I know game story for Padres.com.
Yeah, he's been like the most impressive thing. Like, he does so many spectacular things: the diving catches, the crazy like the clutch hits. Running's really good. Like, I think we overlook that sometimes. He put that on display last night with the triple, and then going first to home on the error. Like, all of that's incredible, but what's I think the most incredible is just how rarely he ever falls into like what you would even come close to considering a slump. Like, players say it all the time, how well you have to forget about the last at bat and just go focus on the next one. I don't know how many of them truly live that. I don't know how you can. Like, it's just like as a person, like, how can you not be thinking about like if you're in a slump or if you're struggling? But Jackson Merrill seems to genuinely be able to do that. He seems to genuinely only care about what's right in front of him, the play in front of him, the at bat in front of him, and like, I think that's what has led to the fact that he hasn't really had any prolonged struggles. He's had some minor slumps, but like, those are statistical things. I think they're not like Jackson Merrill getting in his own head because he's struggling to hit the curveball or whatever. He's just really, really good at understanding what it takes to play a baseball season. And like, that's so much easier said than done. It's not a knock on any other guys for feeling your struggles. Like, that is only human, but it's really a credit to Jackson Merrill that he's been able to do what he does.
It really is. Can't take him for granted. What he is doing on like a nightly basis. He's just, you can't take your eyes off of him. And he reminds me of, his teammates, Fernando Tatis Jr. Speaking of Tatis, and I noticed this yesterday when he hit his home run, the Padres team leading 10th home run of the season. I know some viewers watched as well. He didn't do his normal stutter step around third base, and he didn't seem to have that normal joy that we associate with Fernando when he's playing. So, and we didn't talk to him in pregame yesterday. Didn't see him in postgame as either. So, is anything going on with Tatis right now with his demeanor?
Not that I know of. I mean, the stutter step is obviously doing it at home in a situation where it's a pretty big home run. Like, that's a conspicuous absence. He doesn't stutter step on every home run. He like there are ones where they're behind or where they're up big. I think when he homered against the Rockies to put them up 19-0, like, that was a little like he didn't stutter step. He just kind of ran around the bases. So I don't know. Like, it very well could be, but it's also it's not fair to speculate on like whatever it could be, because he's still playing pretty well. He is going through, I think, like, Tatis, as much as we want to talk about how Merrill like is so steady all the time, Tatis is like, I think, kind of his swing and like the contact he's trying to make and like the violence of the swing lends itself toward maybe some up and down a little more than what you get from Merrill. So I don't know. I guess we can talk to him and find out. He wasn't around yesterday to discuss it, but I wouldn't read too much into it.
Okay, let's see. Darvish is going to make I think a rehab start tonight, right, in El Paso. What are the Padres looking for from? Is it in El Paso tonight?
It's tomorrow. Right? It's tomorrow, and it's for El Paso. They're going to be in Las Vegas.
Okay,
so Darvish got himself a trip to Vegas real quick, and I think he'll come back after that, and then they'll reevaluate the next step. I would guess with Darvish. Like, the way Mike Schultz talked about it and the way we've seen Darvish's past buildups, like, it takes a little bit of time to get going, to like build that arm up in the bullpens, work on his stuff. But once he gets in rehab games, I don't think he likes wasting bullets in rehab games. So I would expect like probably the start in Las Vegas and then probably another start the following week to build up to around 80 pitches. And if all feels good, like, I think he could come back by the end of May. I think that's what the Padres are shooting for. Their schedule gets tougher then. I think maybe they go – I don't know if it's a 6-man rotation or if it's like you let one of those other guys pitch and then you throw Darvish back in and send one of those guys down, and you can maneuver that way because they don't have any off days. Starting, I want to say May 29th or May 30th. So, yeah, I think with Darvish, it's like kind of different than some other guys with what you'd expect for rehab for a guy who hasn't pitched this season, because he just doesn't want to be wasting those bullets in a rehab setting. What that means is that when Darvish comes back, I don't think he's going into the 6th inning. I think it's 5 innings, 90
Okay.
pitches.
Build them up.
But
in
build
a
them up
meaningful game.
in a big league setting. But
Yes.
I think the Padres are fine with that. If they're getting 5 innings from you, Darvish, and then maybe 6 innings in his next start, and then come that like 3rd start in early to mid June, he's on a regular schedule. Like, would you rather have those innings if Darvish is feeling good and can get out? So would you rather have those innings at El Paso, or would you rather have them in San Diego? I think you take San Diego every time.
You definitely want them in San Diego. Okay, that's really big good news. I know we had an interesting conversation with Bob Scanlon yesterday about the advantage of a 6-man rotation. But if they go with a 5-man, and it's a small sample size, but do you think Kolek has shown enough to earn himself that role?
Yeah, like you said, it's a small sample, and I think he gets probably 2 more starts before that decision has to get made. So so far, yes, he has, but so far it's only 2 starts. The next one coming up is against a pretty good Mariners team. Obviously the team that let him get away in the Rule 5 draft, so it's like a fun storyline there. I think he will have every opportunity to stay in this rotation if he keeps pitching as well as he did, because he looks good. He looked good in spring training. He looked good in the minors, and I think his pitch mix is clearly good enough to be a starting pitcher. Like, he's more or less the same pitch mix as Michael King. And granted, Michael King, I think, is a savvier pitcher, and some of those pitches are a little nastier. But in terms of, like, if Stephen Kolek can kind of harness what Michael King does, like, he can easily be a number 4 or 5 starter on a really good team. So that's what the next couple weeks are for, is finding out whether Kolek can be that guy.
I want to make sure that I leave you enough time to go ahead and give me your take on why the NBA draft lottery is rigged. So 2 things we need to get to. Let's go ahead and go with Ethan Salas. I think the news broke yesterday during the game from AJ Preller that he has a stress reaction in his back. How surprising is this news, and how much of a setback is this for Salas, who's still
a setback. He's 18 years old, and it's a setback, and there's no getting around it. The Padres want to say it's really not, and that his development won't be hindered, and that he's going to come back and get a lot of at-bats down the stretch of the season, and all of that is absolutely true. But you want your young players playing and developing and getting in games, and he won't be able to do that. All he can really do now is rest. And I think some useful perspective on it is Jackson Merrill, and that's I actually talked to Jackson a little bit about this last night and wrote about it. His Jackson Merrill, at essentially the same time, in essentially the same season, missed 2.5 months because of a wrist injury. And he ended up, he hated it. He hated everything about not being able to play, and he got antsy, and it's like, oh, Ethan Salas, all he has to do is rest. Well, that's hard on a 19-year-old, 18-year-old who just wants to be out there playing baseball. Cut a few years later, 2 years later, Jackson Merrill's breaking camp with the big league club. 3 years later, he's signed a 9-year extension. Like, this isn't this kind of injury and this kind of setback doesn't have to be anything long term. But I mean, the Padres need it rested up. They need it healed. I think Tatis dealt with a similar injury when he was 19, or I guess he would have been 20 because it was his rookie season in 2019. If this injury, and there's no reason to believe it won't, if this injury is healed by July with the rest, and Salas can get those at bats, and then maybe he plays a little bit of winter ball because he missed these at bats this season. I don't think it's too big a deal, but you always want your guys playing and developing, and if they're off the field, then they're not. And so, especially for a guy like Salas, who I think had a lot of hope for moving pretty quickly, and he has moved relatively quickly.
They fast-tracked him early on.
They fast-tracked him, and it's not great, but it's also, as we see with Jackson Merrill, it's not the end of the world.
But is that more concerning, giving the position that he plays, that type of injuries and what he's gone through at such a young age? Or no?
I don't think so. I don't think so unless it becomes repetitive for any reason. Okay. So like guys get injured, and like we will see. I guess it raises the concern level from here to here, but until there's like a series of injuries that make us believe it's something that is, I don't know, part of who Salas is as a player, I don't think it's that big a deal.
Okay, this weekend, we're not going to talk next week, so I want to make sure I get this in right now. This weekend is the first official Vetter Cup. And I know for some of the previous Padres scribes, including one that used to occupy your seat, that would be Corey Brock and his North County Times counterpart, Dan Hayes, the Vetter Cup was a big thing. I mean, beat writers were bored in the press box, shocking, right, during these long games. But Vetter Cup is a thing. What does it mean to you? Padres,
I think it's great, and it's going to the Vetters family charity. Like, a lot of the proceeds from what the games are. Like, it's like, why not? Why not?
Yeah. Have some fun with it.
Have some fun with it, and like, I guess there's going to be a trophy that we haven't seen yet, so looking forward to seeing that.
Okay.
I I do roll my eyes a little bit at the tiebreaker, which is, what was the tiebreaker? I think it's run differential first, but then it's exit velocity EV for Eddie Vedder. So,
oh, you're kidding! Come on.
No, it's real. But then again, this is a relatively made up trophy that's going to a good cause and is just for fun. So why not have a fun, quirky tiebreaker? I say stage a home run derby before the first game, and that's your tiebreaker. And if it goes 3-3, like that, make something big out of it. But no, I'm looking forward to it. I think there is a matter of like, it's a fun rivalry. Rivalry, I put in quotation marks, just because they're two fun teams, fun cities, fun fan bases, and both of them are good this year. Like, this is a really interesting, fun series between two teams that are contenders in both of their leagues. So, like, am I looking forward to it? Yeah, hell yeah. Let's play the Vedder Cup. Okay, that's good. And perhaps if the run differential and the EV, if that thing takes off, perhaps Rob Manfred could implement that in games, in like all-star games and things like that. I don't see that happening. You don't see that happening. Okay, let's see a couple things. Boy, those birds and those dogs, man. What's happening in your hood? Okay, you wrote about 3 questions for the birds. It's ambiance. Yeah, I love it. Wow, you're an OB. I am an OB. Yes. Good for you. I usually, if I open my windows, you're going to hear like trash trucks and I don't know, police sirens. I'm in PP. Well, I'll apologize. I'll apologize about the dog, but I like the birds. It's fantastic. All right, AJ Cassavell. All right, quickly, you wrote about 3 questions for a healthy offense and some questions around Jason Hayward. Can you go ahead and just briefly summarize what you wrote about? Yeah, so the first question, I did like a short-term, medium-term, and long-term question. The short-term question we got answered last night. It was like, how are they going to line up against lefties? I thought it was interesting. They let Gavin Sheets bat. I don't know whether that will always be what they do. Like, I still think there's a spot for Jose Iglesias. His numbers are bad, but they're bad because he faced a lot of righties, and look at how bad his numbers are against righties. Like, if you put him in against the right guys, he can still be an effective hitter. He's a very good defender. I think you could put him at any spot on the infield and give whoever a day off at DH. Like, good with me. He was playing every day too. He was playing every day. That's useful. Okay. But Gavin Sheets is red hot. Give him those at-bats against lefties right now while he's raking. Like, absolutely let him do that, and he's been fine. I think there's maybe also a path to, depending on the ballpark they're playing in, like Gavin Sheets out in left field, and then you do that whole Jose Iglesias thing. Brandon Lockridge is a nice player. He's a super useful bench guy, like pinch running and playing defense. Like, he's awesome at that, and he's awesome in that role. In a starting role, I think there's a little bit to be desired, like if you want to maximize the offense. So anyway, we got that question answered last night. The medium-term question is with Jason Hayward in left field and whether the Padres are getting enough there. And I've written a lot about the catching situation in the number 9 spot and how they are, because even if those guys aren't producing, and I think they've produced pretty admirably, even if they that's fine because they're what they're getting from a run prevention standpoint. I think in left field, the Padres ranked 27th out of 30 in the majors in hitting. Like, that's just not good enough. Like, left field is a position where you should want offense, and they're going to give Jason Hayward the opportunity to work through these struggles, given what he does defensively, given kind of the intangibles and what he means to the clubhouse. Factor, yes. But then that leads to the kind of the third question, which is down the road once we get to the trade deadline. Do the Padres look to add a bat? And like, I don't see how they don't. Even if it's not to necessarily replace Hayward or replace someone specific, like this lineup, as good as it is, and it's really good, there's room for another bat, whether it's a bench bat, whether it's a platoon bat, whether it's a starter in left field, there's room for one more bat. And like, we know what AJ Preller does when the Padres are in contention at the deadline and when they have a glaring need at the deadline, he's not afraid to go for it. It'll be interesting to see how this trade market really unfolds over the next 30 days or so, which is when you really separate the pretenders from the contenders. Okay, last thing, AJ Cassavell, because you are a father, a proud father of young Carlo. So I have a 7-year-old nephew, all right, and he loves baseball, and he loves baseball bats. Yesterday when I was at the game, had a babysitter. I own 3 baseball bats that are signed. One is from Tony Gwynn. One is from Steve Finley, and one is from Ben Davis. Or I'm sorry, and 4, because Dave Roberts too. The Ben Davis one's not the one that he used to break up Kurt Schilling's no-hitter, by the way. But he took my Tony Gwynn bat, and he wrote, can you see it? He wrote his name on the bat. He wrote it in cursive. Now, and then he drew some hearts on it. Now, and he was so proud of it today when he saw me.
is he in trouble? Do you
No.
punish him? Do you reward him, or do you say, "Good job, don't do it again"? Oh, it gets worse.
The Tony Gwynn autograph's still there, right? It's still
It's
there.
still
and
there,
legible.
but now his name
Now
is
there's
written all
two
over
very
my only
important-
Tony Gwynn bat.
Two very important people have autographed the same bat. That sounds pretty cool to me.
And then he took it across the bay and hit some baseballs.
That's a little questionable. That's like some Sandlot stuff right there,
Okay.
like hitting the Babe Ruth ball.
Oh no. Okay, what did I just
Spill
do?
some coffee again?
I'm sorry. I hit something in my record button. Okay. AJ Cassavell, thank you for your time. Have a wonderful week. Can you still hear me? I'm not sure. I did something to my microphone.
I got you. Yes.
Can't hear me. Okay. I'm not sure what I did. Hopefully this thing works. AJ, have a great week. I'll see you tonight, and then we'll catch up with you on Marty Time TV in a couple weeks.
All right. Bye, Marty.
Bye, AJ. That was AJ Cassavell from Padres.com. I am so glad that he wears noise-canceling headphones so he could not hear me just cursing like a sailor yesterday when I spilled coffee all over my laptop. My hard drive didn't work. My keyboard was stuck, and I was just, it's so upsetting. But anyways, all right, guys. Well, thank you for putting up with me today. I'll be back tomorrow with Alvin Gonzalez from ESPN. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day, and hopefully, Dylan sees tonight in the mound. Hopefully, nice insurance. They can give that bullpen a bit of a rest. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Dylan, come here real quick. Come here. Hold on. If somebody said that we're getting our Avengers back by the injuries that are coming back, who would you compare Arias, Jason Hayward, and Jackson Merrill to in terms of an Avenger?
I've never really watched Avengers.
See, not a nerd. He's a nerd in other ways.
I do play RuneScape sometimes. That's a little nerdy. And disc
But
golf.
you don't know.
I mean, I think it was just, we felt lonely out there. We missed our guys. And, we missed them in the clubhouse. They were gone for a whole week, and we just felt empty.